Hello, ECEG 100. I was told in the last video I wasn't smiling enough, so here we go. Now you got to see that, and you got to see all my gifts. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started today in a little bit. Kind of got some feedback in the video, so that was working out. So we're gonna keep doing that. At least makes me feel less like a robot, just sitting out assignments all the time. So anyway, here we go. Today, what I want to do is work on a few things. I told you I get out something out here about multisim. I know you're struggling with that. I see a lot. Keep talking on Piazza. Keep sending us questions, and we will do our best to answer you. So, no new lecture really for Wednesday. It's just keep doing what you have with op amps and make sure you understand what's going on. So, I want to talk about the inverting amplifier, build one in Multisim, then start playing around in Multisim, finding the gain using DC supplies. Look at a few issues with that, and then we'll work on AC simulation. It'll probably be the next video. All right, so let's get going. We want to build an inverting amplifier. That's going to be an amplifier that uses an op amp in it, and it's going to then take a signal and invert it, but negatively. So let's see what that means. There's a few questions. Let's start and just go ahead and draw the inverting amplifier circuit. Now, if you've seen the videos, you might know what this looks like. You've been practicing problems you've. It's a very common op amp circuit. Just look it up and they all have the same basic structure. So let me frantically draw this. Okay, what we got? We have our good old op amp. Please note when I draw an op amp, I'm drawing the negative or inverting symbol here for the inverting input, the inverting terminal, and I have the positive. Those are very, very important. It's just that an op amp has two inputs, the inverting input and the non-inverting input. You have to make sure you denote which of those are there. Don't leave those off. We have then our output voltage over here, our input voltage on this side, and we have two resistors. So you can see we have the output of the op amp is being fed back. So that's why I have R sub F for the feedback resistor back into the inverting terminal. And then we also have our input voltage connected to the inverting terminal through the input resistor Ri. So that's the basic inverting setup. The other input is connected to ground. All right, basic inverting amplifier setup. So, as I said, I think this question came from the comments. Polarity does matter. Make sure you're very, very careful about that. If you don't have that right, you'll have a totally different circuit. The wackadoo amplifier. Probably not going to do much. Okay, so the next thing that's important, and this doesn't really come up in most op amp things we deal with, but when you're hooking this up in the lab, this is always a massive, huge problem, and that's the power supplies. Op amps have to have two power supplies. Everything else we've dealt with just has one. We take 5 volts and feed into something. We take 3.3 volts and feed into that, and we're done. 3.3 in ground. Op amps are a little bit different. They need to have a positive supply and the negative supply. We typically call these the power supply rails. So I've denoted them on this as VP for the positive supply voltage and V negative, or V, that should be a VN probably, but I wrote V minus for the negative supply voltage. So what that means is that we're going to have some power supplies. So I drew this here. We have a positive voltage, and that could be 12 volts, 10 volts, 5 volts, whatever. So between ground and this node here, we have whatever, 12 volts. And so this node is then connected to this node. So that's takes care of the positive supply. What the negative supply means, we need to have a negative voltage. So that means we take what we have as our supply, invert it, or really just flip it around. So the negative and positive terminals of this voltage supply are different. And then between ground and this node, we have now negative 12 volts, whatever it would be. And that gets connected down here. And there we go. We have the positive and minus. So if these two supplies are each 12 volts, we'd have a positive 12 volt on the positive supply of the op amp, and negative 12 volt and negative supply of the op amp. We are feeding that all together. Everything is going to work out. Okay. That's the inverting amplifier. Do you know what the gain of this circuit is? If I put a 1 volt input over here on VN, what is my output going to be? I'll pause the video for you to see. Do you like that? Know what it is? All right. So when we say that, the ratio of output voltage to input voltage, that's the gain of our amplifier circuit. This is an inverting amplifier. That's the big hint. You're going to start off with a negative sign. And this is pretty simple. It's negative RF over RI. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. Coming up right next, I will then show you how to do this in Multisim, and then we'll go into AC simulation.